Hello, everybody. Welcome to Astrological Coffee Talk with Eric. Thank you for watching on the replay. And we are going to jump in to the wonderful world of the solar Aries eclipse, which is a partial, okay, eclipse. And we will get into the fact, all right, this is the Aries partial solar eclipse, and I'm looking at it the PST, okay? So we're talking about 3:57 a.m. So Eastern, it'll be 6:57 a.m. on the 29th, all right? Now remember, I'm going to go through all 12 rising signs. The ascendant can change based on the longitude and latitude. For the most part, Middle America, West Coast, it will stay at this Aquarius rising. Let's say if we were looking at it in New York, maybe Florida, it could shift to a Pisces or Capricorn. It just depends. But I'm going to go through all 12 signs, but we're obviously going to start with this Aquarius, and then I'll work through the Pisces and go around, but just kind of read the general energy, okay? So what we're starting off at is the sun and moon at 9 degrees. Mercury's at 0 degrees. So the one thing I will say, when Mercury is at 0 degrees, and remember, this is both, all three of them are still in the Aries decan, right? So real Aries, right? Not no fake Aries. Not that like the other decans are fake, but you know what I mean? It's pure Aries, right? Aggression, initiating, assertive, right? The pioneer maverick, the childhood genius. Remember, Aquarius is the sage old man genius. Aries is the childhood genius, 0 to 7. If you're not aware that the Rams are actually kind of blind, you know, they don't see so well, so they are, boom, right? They ram their heads into things for spatial awareness, the Rams. And Aries are about sometimes arguments, fights, but remember, Aries never start anything. They're very pure, right? They're trying to get to a mission or a goal. They're not asking questions, asking for permission. And if they step on your toes, they don't mean to. And they may not even say sorry because they're just moving so fast. It's very impulsive energy. This is a deeper layer of astrology, but I love to talk about it. I'm not so into the Sabian symbols. They're okay, right? Everybody has their things. As an astrologer, you choose what you like the best. I like what they call the Vedic nakshatras, but they're also known as lunar mansions. And this lunar mansion behind these three energies of the sun, moon, and Mercury, it is the south node. The Chiron is in the Venus lunar mansion. So the south node is very spiritual, but it also cuts, separates, and divides. Well, why do I tell you that? Because it's telling you the energy of this new beginning, sun and moon and Mercury. We need to, with our logical, analytical mind, pause and think before we react and initiate. With our emotional response system, the moon mind, which is you, your mother, your body, your health, the family you create your intuition, right? The moon, we have got to emotionally take a pause. The south node is like, is this serving you spiritually? The south node is like, this is sort of like a past life feeling you could be experiencing at this time during this solar eclipse. And guess what? It's partial because, right, the nodes are now at 27 degrees, right? So this is more than a 10-degree orb, right? We're talking about 12-degree orb. So it's extremely partial. That's what that means. But it's closing up the chapter of from 23 to January 10th of 2025. The I am energy of Aries and the we of Libra South Node. So this Aries partial solar eclipse is wanting you to assess in your lives, how have I been becoming a leader? How have I been brave and courageous in my own life? And for Aquarius risings, you want to look in your third house in your local community with your younger siblings, with the adult relationship of your mother, right? With your reading, writing, and communications. How are you pausing, then reacting? And how can you take stock in, am I being a leader in my local community? Do I, when I go out in the supermarket or in the grocery store, or when I'm dealing with my children at school or whatever it is, am I writing communications? And third house, social media, sales, advertising, marketing. Am I, one, not overreacting? Am I not just putting up a post of vitriol? Oh, da 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 da, but your president's stupid, or this and that is that, or oh, your views are this, right? How are we kind of taking a pause, and then how are we becoming leaders, not initiators of fights and arguments, but leaders in our local community, right? And in particular, looking at this one with Pluto on the ascendant, it is kind of sextiling the Mercury. And you could say sextile, I like to use no more than a 5-degree orb. So it's a little bit, past it. But you could say that, like, hey, how in general am I being transformative, right? And Mercury sextile Pluto, that is also about investigation, the shadow work of yourself, especially for Aquarius risings, right? What do I need to heal and transform? How can I show up and be more magnetic with my energy, my aura? Remember, the first house is your aura, physical appearance, outer mass, but right, how am I showing up in my local community, Mercury, Aries? And think of, so Mercury or Jupiter in Aries, it's the motivational coach, it's the motivational speaker. Come on, team, let's go out there and win, right? Vince Lombardi, right? So one thing that you have to look at with this chart is any major aspects. Now, when we're looking at the opposition in the ninth house of Libra, there's not really, much going on. Now, what's been interesting, I don't know if any of you guys watch my astro weather, but the Lilith has been dancing between Scorpio and Libra. And it even went into a week and a half ago into Virgo for a second. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Because Lilith, you guys, and I put this in so you know the difference. This is the mean, the average position, the glyph. That's not the true, authentic, oscillating apogee, right? One astrologer, I respect his work, he calls this mean position of Lilith like a blow-up doll. It's not the authentic, primal, carnal Lilith and woman. This is Lilith, and in astro.com, you can go to miscellaneous and put it as H13. In the bottom, used to be bottom right-hand corner, now it's just the bottom. They've like redesigned astro.com a little bit. I hate when these sites kind of redo stuff because then you're like, whoa, where's my thing at? And then you just got to figure it out. But it's pretty clear. But this true Black Moon Lilith is our pre-verbal, pre-rational energy, our yes-no response. It's your gut instinct, intuition, right? Most of us growing up in Western cultures or just, in modern times, we're not taught to trust our gut instinct and our intuition. But that's what Lilith is all about. It's literally a perfume and cologne. It is an energy of repression and rejection, right? We won't get into the whole thing. You got demonized patriarchal system. It's like a divine and dark feminine, a female Pluto. And so one thing Lilith is, it's very sexually charged, right? God forbid she, supposedly Adam's first wife, she wanted to sexually be on top, got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, yada, 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 right? Who knows if all that is real or true? But what I want you to take from it, it is definitely your intuition and your instinct. And the Lilith can break kind of the comfort zone. Like in, let's say, a room of 10 people, Lilith is going to be the one to turn the conversation to something a little bit more primal, carnal, maybe sexual, but it's going to get authentically real. It's going to energetically read the room and give you like, so who'd you guys vote for? So who likes, this type of sex? Like, you understand? That's the Lilith energy. So it will read the room and intuitively kind of, and in Libra though, it's going to be a little bit more peaceful, but it makes us at this time, even though it's what is it opposing? The Chiron. Okay. So you're wounding. And that is perfect at this energy wrapping up the chapter of the Aries North Node, Libra South Node, because it's wanting you to heal the wounds about you being passively aggressive in relationships, accepting less than in relationships. This is the final time for you guys to literally cut the cord, right? Even if it's the ninth house, your father's teachings, right? It's your wisdom, beliefs, philosophies. Like, don't, excuse my French, pussyfoot around anymore. If you're kind of dealing with some people in your life and they're like, oh, always saying around you, that's that demon stuff. Astrology is a sin and this and that. And you're just kind of like quiet, hiding in a closet that you love astrology and the occult esoteric knowledge. No, don't do that anymore. This Lilith opposing Chiron is to heal the I am energy. Be brave and courageous and be like, guess what? You know what? I still love God, Jesus, or his real name, Yeshua. I still love, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever your belief system is, right? What you are really dealing, and this is more for the Aquarius risings, but the energy, because even if it's not the third, ninth house axis, it's still Chiron opposing the Lilith. The energy is going to be about authentically and intuitively saying, if I'm going to be in this we relationship, business partnership, relationship or marriage, I've got to be a leader. I've got to initiate truth. So you're going to be like, you know what? Astrology is in the Bible, Torah, and the Quran. It's not a sin, right? I've got scriptures in Daniel and Job, this and that or whatever. Mazel tov means may the stars be with you. Yada, yada, yada. Astrology, they're even finding in all the ancient pyramids and even in Giza that they had all the constellations in the zodiac. Okay, so every day we're finding out how ancient and how old astrology is. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but before you become, in ancient times, an astronomer, a preacher, or anything, you had to be an astrologer first, okay? And a medical astrology is really ancient too, because they used it for everything. Okay, this is going back to ancient Kemet and Babylonia and all these other places. So one thing that I want you to remember is pay attention. Are people in your lives bringing you harmony and peace? Are the relationships, remember Libra is seeking balance. It's never balanced. 5149, that's like amazing. You can get to that. But you want it to be close. You don't want to be always giving in a friendship or in a partnership or relationship. You want it to be close to equal. What's fair? And you have every right to be like, hey, this isn't serving me anymore. I'm going to step away. People should earn your attention. You know that old adage, when you walk into a room, if those people aren't lighting up and smiling, saying, hey, Ann, hey, Robin, what's up, Danny? What's up, Contella? What's up, Gloria? All you guys, right? Janice? If they're not kind of lighting up, then maybe you need to change that room and go to a different room. Do you know what I mean? Like literally, I light up when I see you guys because you're welcome here and I appreciate you, right? And so I just want you guys to know that you're worthy of that. And all of us are. Everybody watching on the replay and in the collective, that's one of the energies with this Lilith Chiron and the wounding that we all need to heal in our lives. So Pisces. And we're going to get to the Pisces rising next, but I just want to finish up this because this is kind of like, even the general reading for the energy as well, not just the Aquarius rising. Remember, the veil is super thin. You see this North Node, now Venus is joined and Neptune. Okay, today is the 22nd, so this is just, a week away, right? The 29th. And Saturn, this conjunction, the Saturn in Pisces, healthy boundaries, compassion, empathy, grace, and mercy. Increase your spiritual practice and discipline. Yeah, I used to say 15 to 30 minutes a day. No, you can break it up. Morning, afternoon, evening, morning, night. Try to get to 30 minutes to an hour. You will literally feel better. I'm not trying to ask you to do something that's going to hurt you. I'm trying to ask you to do something that will help you manage these energies and literally change your life. I know I've increased it. One of the places I like to meditate is like ground and earth and nature to get the Schumann resonance. And I'm not saying I know what's the best for anybody. I'm just telling you what works for me. And your chart can give you insights. Some people need to be hiking and walking and moving, exercise. Some people biking. Some people meditating, toning. Some people candlelight, the bathtub, the shower, stretching, yoga, right? Some people need the sound bowl. Or just complete silence, laying still in their bed. The point is, try something, do something. If you've never done it every day, try it. If you need to start 3 to 5 minutes, do that. We've got these great cell phones and stuff with guided meditations on YouTube and all these apps. This is the greatest time ever, right? And I want you to know the next 20 years, the spirituality and the esoteric occult knowledge, it's already $1 billion industry. It's only going to grow and increase to 2044 with Pluto and Aquarius, you guys, and the age of Aquarius. So it's not stopping. The truth is coming, and it's coming in hot, right? It's going to continue. And so this is a great time to learn and love this. And also, guess what? You'll see me say it on my podcast sometimes, but your friends and family members that think you're kind of like the black sheep and weird, hey, maybe just send them a little text, send them a little video, send them this once I put it up on YouTube, tag them or whatever, right? Because you don't know what's going to awaken your loved one or friend that's been kind of poo-pooing you and your ideas and thoughts. And then all of a sudden the revelation of wisdom and truth pours over them and they're like, oh my gosh, I get this, right? That's why there should be no arrogance, right? In the spiritual realm. I mean, sometimes you see some people on YouTube or IG or TikTok where they get kind of like too preachy and trying to talk bad about each other. In Earth School, well, you and I, right? All of us here, we could be in 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and some people we know could be in pre-K or kindergarten. They could have a Kundalini awakening tomorrow morning and all of a sudden become like all the Claires online, psychic, intuitive, and they're like, whoa, oh my God, this is the matrix, cognitive dissonance, and they're saying all these words, and all of a sudden they just get these downloads and they're like a graduate in spirituality. Do you understand? So that's why we always got to be humble, but we got to be willing to share with others. That's what Pisces is about. Have the healthy boundaries and Saturn to protect your energy, but also know the Venus in Pisces is the unconditional book of Ephesians, agape Christ-like love. Have compassion. Democrats have compassion for Republicans. Republicans have compassion for Democrats, independents, right? We have got to realize we're souls and human beings first, right? I could have been a conservative Chinese lady in a past life, right? Who knows? And a racist, who knows? So it doesn't matter. This is what we've got to kind of get back past this like flesh and bones and really start to see with Pisces, Venus, agape Christ-like love. Now, remember, what are we ending when Neptune leaves Pisces? This time and then forever in our lifetime on January 26th. We're ending the victimhood, the self-sacrificing. Nobody loves me. Woe is me. Oh, they were mean to me. They called me names. That whole cancel culture crap, right? I mean, most of us are grown, growing up. I mean, we said some things that we know now could be inappropriate, but these were the terms and the words that we had at the time. But sometimes the overcorrection is making us too soft as a society. And you're seeing it now as adults. We kind of criticize some of these young kids, right? The Gen Zs, some of the alphas are like, oh my God, these kids are so sensitive, so soft, right? Yes, they are. But some of it is our fault too, right? The course correction, we've allowed them to be this way too. So, but energetically, pay attention to the Pluto Sag generation, the Gen Zs. They're not down with these wars. They're not down with these, working a 9 to 5 pension, being a slave to the system. So give them some credit. They're kind of ahead of us on a lot of things too, right? They're like, wait a minute. Why would you want to be a slave in this system and have this job that you hate and not be happy? Why did you guys do that and play that game, right? Us Gen Xers or any of you early young boomers here, why did we, right? We were duped. But that's part of the subconscious programming. So what's happening at this time with this Pisces energy, the Venus, the Neptune and North Node, the veil is super thin for us to realize where we've been lied to and deceived, where we've lied to ourselves, right? So we can spiritually heal our subconscious programming, the rote memory, and become more conscious and aware every day. Okay? So,
Eric?
Yes, ma'am.
Anne has a question.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, yeah. You guys can just, because I'm not going to be able to go into the chat.
Right.
Because I'm looking
That's
at the No, thank you. So go ahead, Anne.
Thank you, Robin.
Yep.
You're very welcome.
Sorry to interrupt. I just had a question. I was looking at Pisces in the second house. Now, I know the North Node symbol. Why did both of those North Node symbols, they almost look alike?
Yes, I'm going to
I
explain
never
that.
saw that before.
Okay, so what I do is, just so you know, in the bottom left, when you're setting it up, they have the true node and the mean node. This
Oh,
right
okay.
here with the T, the thicker one, right?
Yes.
With the T in it, this is the true north node at 27 degrees. The mean average position, like the glyph of the Lilith, is at 26. And
Oh,
so that's kind of like, think of it as like the whisper in your ear, like maybe like a little underlining truth or something that's kind of hidden energetically. It's still the same interpretation. The North Node is just kind of letting you know that that mean position is kind of, just a 1 degree off. And sometimes it could be 1 or 2 degrees off.
okay.
So sometimes I put it in, sometimes I don't, but now I like to just keep it in. But that's a great question. So it's nothing wrong with it, but you always want to look at the one with the T in it, the true North Node. So that's at 27 degrees. They're both still in a conjunction to the Venus and Neptune. So remember, hours later, maybe 4 to 5 hours later, this Mercury will go in on the Aries solar eclipse that day in the Pisces. And then the next day, we'll be looking at, in the morning on the 30th, this Neptune. So they're like trading places. The Neptune will go into Aries.
Yeah. Oh,
One
got it.
thing,
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome, man. And you guys, please, I'm sorry, please ask questions. And I normally come and say, hey, any questions? But I just was trying to wrap up something real quick. But that was a great question. The Venus Neptune North Node, this is also increasing your self-love. Venus in Pisces, if any of you guys have this, it can be a challenging placement because sometimes in this 3D earthly experience, it's hard for you to find that true love. Because Venus in Pisces loves the birds, the bees, the ABCs, the trees, animals, humans, everyone, right? And so I've had many clients, and I know a few friends with it, they can have a hard way to go sometimes in relationships. But at this time, this energy, even for the Aquarius rising, it's about appreciating and loving your family. It's about loving yourself and the speech being more compassionate, empathetic. Okay? So we have to understand with the veil being so thin, this is where we could do the Tesla method, right? Write your manifestations down, Aries, new moon, solar eclipse, new beginning, right? Oh, and just so you guys know, don't go outside and be these eclipse chasers. No, 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 please. You don't play with eclipse. In ancient times, eclipse is when we had changes of leaders. People would die. I mean, I hate to say it, but in the last 4 weeks, starting with Irv Gotti to all the athletes, George Foreman we just lost, Roberta Flack, the guy, the brother from the Isley Brothers, the guy from Tony, Junior Bridgman, Oliver Miller, oh my God, there's just been Angie Stone. We have lost so many people since we were getting to the energy 2 weeks before the Virgo lunar eclipse. But this is where you're going to see transference of power too, where you may see leaders pass or all, different things. Eclipses are powerful energies. 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, and the equinox was smacked in between the two eclipses. This doesn't normally happen. God, source creator, is showing us universally with these planetary bodies, you guys, this is a time to change your reality, change who you have been. Remember Lot's wife in the Bible when she turned around and that was considered yearning for the old in the past, for Sodom and Gomorrah? We have to stop yearning for colonialism. Stop yearning for the government, my daddy. Stop yearning for these structures and systems that we place in our lives and externally outside of us. This is literally where we have to find our tribe online, like here, but your
right.
tribe in your local community,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have a question or something you want to say, or you just,
Well, that's why I get real frustrated and
yeah.
whatever. And I know it's my Aries. I already
Oh
know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I try to keep it down. But of blaming this and blaming that, and this group isn't doing this, or
It's a
I
lot
just
of
want to
noise,
say,
right?
yeah, I'm like, would y'all just take care of your business? That's what you need to do.
Yes.
Take care of you. You got a family, you got friends, you got a circle of people. Are you evolving? People got to do the work.
Yes,
You
Robin.
have to do the self work to go to the next dimension, to go any doggone where.
That's right.
So anyway, I
No,
just, oh
thank you.
boy.
And that's so true. And guess what? Do you guys realize, and this will make you laugh, but when you really do put in the spiritual work, you will find different people energetically being drawn to you, different people coming to you in your life. Even in the supermarkets, you'll get different smiles. Now, every once in a while, you'll get like a darker, almost like demonic spirit, kind of like lashing out at you out of nowhere.
And you'll know it.
And you'll know it, and it'll be a
Yep.
test. Do
Immediately.
you engage in that level, or do you say hi and be like, okay, thank you, bye,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
You know that old adage, kill 'em with kindness?
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to do that, I know, in the matrix. I'm not saying any of this stuff is easy,
Right.
but
Right.
you'll get tested, and then when you do and you pass the test, those dark entities will stop coming into your sphere. They won't even be coming towards your light. Now
Yeah.
they'll test it for a while, trust me. But then it will start to dissipate, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
only going to start to connect with more high frequency and high vibrational people, and you'll be like, and you'll trip because you'll be like, wow, this stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think you see like these Buddhist monks and they'll be meditating like 14 hours a day? Because they're like, hey, I love it, right? I mean, I don't know. It just makes me laugh because, when I was younger and I used to think these people are like Looney Tunes and this and that. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing it for
Yeah,
their
true that.
own
Yeah.
serenity, their own
Mm-hmm.
spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm not going to move the charts, but we're going to get to Pisces rising. So we're going to look at this as if this is Pisces on the ascendant. And so for a Pisces rising person, because we're going to do all 12 rising signs, you're dealing with this eclipse in your second house. So the new beginning is coming with your speech, how you earn money, right? How you are being a leader with your intuition, right? And having the Saturn, Venus, and Neptune on the ascendant, Pisces ascendant, Pisces rising, you have got to focus on the self-love more than ever. And when you're speaking and communicating and out there earning your money, think about the values. The second house, you guys, is your values, your self-worth, your family assets, your savings, your intuition, food, speech, your survival, money itself, things you may collect. Mercury, Aries, whoa, this could be where you get spiritually tested and you kind of fail the test, Pisces risings, because you may verbally put a lashing on somebody that is like, ooh, they're going to wish they never came into your realm. But afterwards, you're not going to feel good about it. You just won't. And so this Aries 0 degrees Mercury, Dios mío, you got to be careful, right? It can be super like cuss somebody from, here to, whatever, right? And we've just got to, right, think about the retrograde of Mercury Aries. It's going to test you at this time for the eclipse. How am I initiating and asserting myself in a healthy way? When planets like Venus and Mercury are retrograde, it's telling you to pause, reanalyze, reassess. And if you guys don't know, I always say this, but fire and air are masculine energies, not male, masculine. So it's outgoing, assertive, initiating. It's not naturally introspective. The retrograde is a challenge when it's in a fire or air sign, and especially in Aries. And this is one of my sayings. I hope it's not offensive, but I don't think it is. But Aries, but even fire signs, sometimes they can be erect to react. They're like, what? Ah, bah, 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 right? Mercury retrograde 0 degrees, that's going to be a challenge, Pisces risings, because it's in the second house of your speech. Okay? Remember, and the Aquarius risings at this time, drink more water. And, I always say, I'm getting, I'm learning myself. I've had a lot of amazing people on my podcast, and it's really hitting me because I do love my seafood. With the, water sign in the second house, definitely more water and eat maybe the seafood. But there's tons of parasites. I don't know if you notice wolves, when they eat a fish, they only eat the head because there's no parasites in it. I did some research. There's less parasites in like the wild salmon, or there's a fish deeper in the ocean. I don't know the name. Maybe some of you guys do. I think it's called Arctic chard or Arctic char. It's a fish that's deeper. There's less mercury, less parasites, but otherwise, pretty much everything else, you guys, fish is not so bueno to really be eating, but that's a whole nother conversation that we must have with Pluto in Aquarius, because that's about parasite cleanse, virus, detoxification of the body. With the Pisces North Node, Virgo South Node, for all of us, this is the time to increase our health. Do what I'm doing right now. I'm on a master cleanse, but we've also been intermittent bringing in like juices and stuff. So I'm on started on Monday, so we'll be going probably to Sunday or Monday, 7-8 days, and we're doing it once a month, my wife and I. So this will be the third month, and it's going well. You know, a lot of improvement in losing weight, gut health, but just energy, all of it. So with the Pisces rising, the Aries, when you have a fire sign in the second house, you want to have the solar food. And if you are eating meat, try to get grass finished, grass fed, do the best you can, what you can afford, organic, whatever. But you may not want to eat it raw. Fire sign, whether you are Aries, Sag, Leo, second house, it means medium to well done. I am a Scorpio rising. You Scorpio risings on here, maybe you may experience it. I can't do raw like sushi or food. I mean, like deathly sick. But I like my meat, if I do eat meat, cooked medium to well done. And you may find that that's the case, especially with Sag, because it's the Scorpio risings, because it's the final fire sign. I have to test it with the, you know, the Aries and Leo there, but I've noticed that in general, the fire signs, you need to have the solar food, more fruits and veggies. And that's just good for your health anyway. Even if you like to eat meat or whatever, always increase your water, fruits, and veggies. So with the moon and sun at 9 degrees, Mercury in the second house of Aries, that Lilith is in the 8th house. So we have to be intuitive also about our relationships, okay? That Libra energy here would be in the 8th house. And just remember, with this South Node for the Aquarius risings, you know, in the 8th house, there's going to be sometimes where we may experience, I hate to kind of literally say this, but you may have ancestors or friends or people or spirits that have passed on that may communicate with you, may say things to you, okay? The veil's very thin with that South Node in the 8th house at this time, with the Virgo there, and you're going to find that the herbs and plant medicine and crystals can really help you, Aquarius risings. Now with the Libra here, the Lilith, right, and the Maki Maki in the 8th house for the Pisces risings, there's definitely some things about being very intuitive about the partnerships, the resources, right, things like that. And, you know, Pisces at this time, you know, you're going to find that this Jupiter Gemini will be in your 4th house. There may be some things with the spring cleaning. There may be some things where Pisces risings, you're thinking about maybe a move or an extension to your home, or just a lot of learning or teaching in the home, okay? Obviously for the Aquarius, you know, there's things around your children and your education. Remember, the 5th house is past life commerce. Jupiter in Gemini is double-edged sword, right? It's debilitated there, expanding the gossip, but expanding the communication and consciousness, right? So for you Aquarius risings, literally, you know, even learning or taking classes about esoteric and occult knowledge. You can see a lot of astrologers with heavy placements, 5th, 8th, and 11th house. So, you know, that's pretty much it for you Pisces risings. But just remember, there's new beginnings with your values and self-worth. And that is about healing that Chiron moon and saying, I am the I am. God consciousness is within me. I've got to honor myself, which is honoring God, right? And now you guys know, you probably have heard of this, a lot of Fortune 500 companies are literally, you know, having like these spiritual gurus coming in their offices and different things. But one thing that they've learned, right, all these scientific studies, right, one of the most recent ones, 2 of them, alcohol shrinks the brain. It is what it is, I'm sorry, right? Also that, and a lot of other things. I'm just saying, you know, we already know the health issues with alcohol and smoking, but, you know, also with the brain. But that the at least 30 minutes a day of joy and play is what they're actually doing now in a lot of high-end corporate offices, because they're finding out that it makes their workers more productive. So we got to do something like make a drawing. I can't draw, but like do a drawing. For me, it's laughter, and I rhyme and I play and but 30 minutes of pure heart chakra activation, something that's fun. Be a kid again every day. That makes sense, right? If we're being honest with ourselves, we all could use a little bit more play and joy in our lives, but just to do it for at least 30 minutes, even during your workday, it's gonna be beneficial for you, okay? So let's go to the Aries risings. I don't know if anybody here is an Aries rising. Maybe we have one, maybe we have nobody. But Mercury, Moon, and Sun and Chiron on the ascendant, well, the first house is what? It's the only house of self. It's your aura. Remember during the pandemic, 6 feet apart? It's the aura, the auric field. It's your physical appearance, your outer mask. Having the sun and moon on the ascendant, there could be new beginnings and new relationships with your mother, your father. The sun and moon represent that too, right? But also kind of your internal and external. How are you changing, upper jaw to the crown chakra, right? How are you taking a pause before you react? This is your energy when you're coming into the room. So this eclipse is kind of asking the Aries risings, are you kind of coming in, right? Coming in hot, but are you being like your true authentic self? Are you being brave and courageous? Stop playing small. This is not a time to play small. This partial solar eclipse is taking us into this new world, this new realm. Let me tell you guys something. I said it on my podcast last week for the equinox, for the Aries New Year. This, I think now I switched it, but from maybe March 26th to the 29th, this is the last time in our lifetimes that it's going to feel like the old Aries seasons that we were used to. Once Neptune goes there, you guys, and we're dealing with this solar eclipse here on the 29th, there's no more normal Aries seasons. Neptune until 2039, it's going to change that. Now, 2039, 2040, we may start to get back to that when Neptune goes to Taurus. But for this long stretch of time, so 2039, it's going to be different because Neptune is going to put a different twist on the Aries energy. It's going to slow it down. It's going to bring clarity. It's going to bring more revelation. It's going to lead to Aries being that leader that now has to be a little bit more compassionate and empathetic. We'll talk more about that with the Neptune and Aries, but with this placement, you guys, and this partial solar eclipse for the Aries rising, this is a time where we have got to initiate, and let me just check real quick, sorry, the room to see, but do you know what I mean? We've got to initiate being more spiritually, okay, that's what I thought, okay. More spiritually in the self-love. Aries, they love themselves, but the problem is that Aries can be in their own head. And so that compassion and empathy, that this eclipse energy with the Neptune leading right into it on the next day, right, for the Aries rising, your emotional and analytical logical mind, remember, think of Mercury as your data processor. There's the door, there's the window, there's the plant, right? The moon is the emotional response. Oh, what do you want for dinner? Or do you like this? Do you like the color blue? No, I don't. No, but right, it's more of your response and reactions and your emotional mind. Okay, so another thing, Aries risings. Oh my goodness, this Pisces party in your 12th house, the dreams are going to be on fire. Okay, I mean it's and remember whatever's in your 12th house, Aquarius risings. The Capricorn crystals, one next to your thigh or hip, wherever you want, and one under your pillow. The Pisces risings, just Google them, the Aquarius crystals under the pillow and in the bed with you. It will help, okay? The Aries risings, the Pisces crystals in the bed, right? And so on and so on. And I'll talk about it when we get to each sign. The other thing too for the Aries risings with the Pluto in the 11th house, I would say that, you're going to really see about the organizations and groups that you're a part of. Remember what I told you guys, what Pluto Aquarius would do? It's going to dig up the shadows of crypto, the internet, AI, FEMA, Red Cross, okay? You're going to start to see revelations and truth. And guess what? I'll be talking about it in the next chart. Red Cross was developed during Neptune and Aries in the 1860s, okay? So, it's going to be fascinating. Now, Taurus risings, Uranus on the ascendant, you've been dealing with it since 2018. It's about to leave on July 7th and then permanently April of 2026. I will be talking about that in the May Coffee Talk, the Uranus Gemini transit. So you don't want to miss that one. Taurus risings, you have the solar eclipse in your 12th house. So this is really about how you're connecting and initiating in the spiritual realm. No victimhood in your dreams. Do your routine. Aries crystals under the bed, tap into the dream book, but also you be the pioneer maverick. Set the intention. When you go to sleep at night, especially around this eclipse, 29th and 30th, but you could start it now. You're not a victim. You say, I want my soul to travel out of my heart, third eye, and crown chakra, and I want to awaken with all the wisdom and knowledge that I need for the day. Right? In Yeshua, in Jesus' name, in God's name, and thank you, right? Ashe, whatever you want to say. But know that and number one, Taurus risings tend to fall asleep like in 26 seconds. They're like, head hits the pillow because they've been doing it all day, and then they're out, right? That Aries 12th house. And what's so funny, you guys, the 12th house will kind of tell you about how you are in the bed. The 12th house, if you don't know, it's bed pleasures for sleeping, but also for sex. Subconscious, unconscious mind, your dreams, your fantasies, isolated places, jail, prisons, hospitals. So having the eclipse, this also can tap you in, and this may be challenging, where you start to have wild visions and dreams about the Congo, about the poor children in Palestine, Gaza, about people in Russia, Ukraine, just all over the world, maybe even your ancestors, okay? So, this is a powerful time for the Taurus risings. Also, just remember, with the Jupiter and Gemini, you want to speak your truth, Taurus risings, But remember that Pluto in the 10th house, in Aquarius, there's going to be some energy with this new moon where, you may have to do some healing or some real kind of revelations and truth about the workplace, work environment, your public image, your legacy. The Pluto in the 10th house can make you infamous or famous. It can make you very magnetic at work, in the workplace. Your midheaven may be there, may not be. But it is always the 10th house, workplace, work environment, your father, government authorities. Pluto there, it can bring a lot of like magnetic positive attention. It can attract some narcissists to you, wherever Pluto is, but it also can, show you the not so nice things that could be going on at your job or work. But just remember with this eclipse energy and also that whole Pisces party in the 11th house, you'll find your spiritual tribe and connections, but the veil is really thin. So this is also a time for Taurus risings to, try to manifest what's the 11th house? Your extreme wealth, your hopes, dreams, and wishes. Always remember, you guys, houses 3, 6, 10, and 11, they grow and develop over time. It's a slow simmer. Remember, the 3rd house is your skills. The 6th house is your work, your daily routine, your health, your hygiene. You got to work at that. Your 10th house is the career, legacy, public image. You got to work and develop that. The 11th house is older siblings, but it's your hopes, dreams, wishes, organizations, groups, arenas, right? The Congress, Senate, President, Vice President. The 11th house is organizations you may join. That develops over time. That is the Bentley, the Rolls Royce. So when you're thinking about those houses, know you are building those skills, 3, 6, 10, and 11. Okay? So Gemini risings, well, Jupiter's on the ascendant till June 8th. So keep shining, Geminis. This is your time. But the Aries energy, right? This eclipse is in your 11th house. So this is where you need to start initiating, being the leader in groups, right? Making sure you're not overreacting, but that if you're in the wrong group, then you initiate and start your own group. Or you take charge in a group that you're in and make some adjustments to be like, hey, you know what? This isn't really that fair, right? Let's try to, adjust this so this group can be better for everyone. Okay, that's how the Gemini risings need to initiate. But no, the 10th house, the Pisces party, you got to be more spiritual in public. This is where when you're going out, now the 6th house is more like the daily routine when you're going to the market and stuff like that. The 10th house, or running your errands to the bank, gym, the 10th house is more the career, but you're still out in public. That's the jungle. So the Venus, Neptune, North Node for the Gemini risings, it's like have compassion for people, but just be your compassionate, empathetic, spiritual self, high vibrational, and just remember, having that Gemini risings, that energy there in public, when you come back home, you got to energetically cut those cords. And we should all be doing this with all this Pisces energy, but you could be pulling in other people's vibrations and frequencies, other people's junk and mess. So a lot of you, and some of you guys know, I will say this in readings, literally, if you're not going back out, wash your hands, your face, and change your clothes. Put on your house clothes. Because right now, with all this Pisces energy, any of these houses that are like more out in public, 3rd, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, 11th, you've got to do a spiritual bath, okay? Like it's really important for Gemini risings at this time because it's just very strong. But I think with this solar eclipse energy, we've got to be really authentic, but the Lilith and Libra opposing the Chiron moon, whatever house we're talking about, it's letting us know that we've got to heal and trust our intuition about the groups or the people we are in partnership with, relationship with, marriage with. And the Mercury, Sun, and Moon in Aries is letting us know, and obviously we're kind of talking about Gemini risings, but the collective in general, where we have got to think before we initiate and react, but stop playing small. Be brave and courageous. Be the pioneer maverick. And maybe you got to tell Gemini rising, maybe you got to tell your older sibling a little bit about themselves. But be more of the Pisces 10th house. Be more compassionate, empathetic. Venus in Pisces is letting us know for all of us right now, have some compassion, empathy, grace, and mercy for yourself first, but for others at this eclipse. And remember, this eclipse plays out till the Aries full moon in October. So some of this stuff, it's not going to happen the next week or two, the next month. It may manifest and play out in your lives all the way to October. That's why it's so important. Cancer risings, well, the whole Pisces party is in your 9th house.
Okay, I got a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So where does it show and why is this one so lengthy? Or it doesn't seem like the others have been.
Lengthy in terms of what?
All the way out to October, as you mentioned.
Oh, okay. So any eclipse, even that Virgo lunar eclipse, that's going to play out to the Virgo new moon in September because it was a full moon.
Oh,
The energy manifests 6 months afterwards when you're dealing with any full moons or new moons, but more so with the eclipses.
more so with the
Yeah,
eclipses.
more so with the
Okay.
eclipses. Because the eclipse energy is it's eclipsing the new moon or the full moon. And so what's happening is that it's not necessarily like, so 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after could be very intense on either side. Have you noticed the weather with this, all this Pisces energy, right? For that Virgo lunar eclipse, cyclones, hurricanes, extreme cold. We're having, and that happens with Pisces season anyway, right? A little bit of winter, a little bit of spring,
Yeah,
but you're
right.
seeing that. And so it's the same thing with this Aries partial solar eclipse. Some of the revelations and experiences that happen, right? So for example, we may have a king or leader, their downfall comes in October at the Aries full moon. And then when it plays out in October, you can look back to this and be like, oh, snap. Now I see. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can totally.
Yeah.
So the Cancer rising, all this stuff, this is the chance for the veil to be so thin to literally Pisces, North Node, Neptune, Venus in the ninth house to quantum leap your beliefs, right? To do the deep dive in your education, to go back to school. But at the same time, when you're dealing with, for cancers, the Aries in the 10th house, right? It's squaring, I haven't talked about this yet. I was kind of saving it for the Cancer, but it's important. The Mars is squaring this Chiron, right? Mars in Cancer. You're a private dancer. You know, Mars in Cancer is in its planetary fall, at home in Aries and Scorpio, exalted in Capricorn. So when that's in the 10th house, right, the Mars in Cancer on the ascendant, it's trining Saturn. This is literally investigating the government. So what's playing out right now, whether you like it or don't, it's in the cosmos, right? Now it's kind of the government investigating the government, but Mars trining Saturn, it's that easy flow. Mars has to probe and investigate. And it does it in Cancer. It's very emotionally intense. So that's kind of, even though I don't like him or trust him and don't think he has any business in our government, Elon Musk, Mars trine Saturn, that's what's happening. So with Mars on the ascendant, Cancer rising, we have got to go for a swim, right? The Mars squaring the Chiron, but the Aries, Sun, Moon, Mercury, maybe you have the tough conversation with dad. Maybe you, and by the way, we always got to forgive our parents. Until you know their charts, you got to always just forgive them. And even if you know their charts, just forgive them. Because forgiveness, you guys always remember, is a gift to you. But with the Aries, Sun, and Moon in the 10th house for the Cancer rising and the Chiron, and that square, we can emotionally initiate deep transformative healing. Remember I said quantum leaping at this time? North Node, Venus, Neptune conjunction in Pisces, ninth house. You can create the new beliefs, the new you, the new I am, the new philosophies. So this is very powerful for the Cancer risings, okay? And I would say that, you know, obviously the Pluto and Aquarius, do it by tapping into the esoteric occult knowledge. Learn about your birth chart. Do deep explorations. Learn about gematria and numerology. Learn about how everything is energy harvesting. Learn about predictive programming. Cancer risings, I mean, the next 20 years with Pluto in your eighth house, you're going to be about that life anyway, okay? Now, the Leo risings, right? We're going to, you know, have the Aries solar eclipse in your ninth house. So having that, this is where you can have new beginnings where whether you're the parent or you still are around your parents, maybe the ninth house is your father's teachings, literally, you know, you may want to share your wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies. It's a new beginning. It's a new day. You know, Dad? Or even teach it to your grandchildren. Okay? Leo risings. Because the ninth house is the grandchild. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. It's also your father's teachings. Publishing. This is a good time to start that book. Also, if you're 44, 56, 68, good time. Especially if you are the Leo rising, okay? And so that means all that Pisces stuff is in your eighth house. Get into the ashwagandha, the sea moss, the spirulina, the meditation, the crystals. Maybe if you ever wanted to, you know, microdose or ayahuasca, go to Costa Rica, Peru. This is that time for Leo risings. Their spiritual gifts and abilities are going to increase, and they're going to have a new beginning. Aries, Sun, Moon, Mercury, of their beliefs. When Neptune goes there for Leo risings, oh my gosh, it's going to be a new day, a new reality. That's what I want you guys to get overall before we go to the Virgo risings. This is going to bring in, that's why you see some astrologers been saying the last few years, Neptune and Aries, civil war. But it's not the way you thought. Everything. Remember all these rumors of World War III? Guess what? Knock, knock. World War III has already been happening. It's spiritual warfare. And some say it's been happening before World War I or World War II. Who knows? But trust me, spiritual warfare, it's always been here. Okay? So that's the real World War III. Okay. And so for Leo risings, please believe this is a time to vibrate from your heart chakra. You're always focused on kids, even if you don't have children and being a big kid, but this is where you can really create a new belief system for yourself, a new version of yourself that you don't have to play small anymore. And Pluto, seventh house, you can transform the relationships in your life as well. And maybe things get revealed where you're like, oof, this business partnership, this relationship, this marriage, it's not what I thought. Okay. Now, the Virgo risings, obviously, you just went through a lot of stuff on your ascendant with the eclipse. You got the Pisces party in your seventh house. That's a lot. You got to be compassionate to the people in the other half. Remember, the seventh house is the descendant when the sun is setting. Kidneys, fallopian tubes, lower back, the buttocks. But it's the other half. It's like a double-sided mirror. You in relation to the other half, and this eclipse is in your eighth house. Could be affecting your marriage, your partner's resources. They may get a new job at this time. They may start a new thing. Virgo risings, you may receive an inheritance, But I would say this is where you got to tap in. If you've never done anything with crystals before in your life, we've been taught in the Bible, a lot of Christians you may hear, oh, crystals are a sin, this and that. Hogwash. Crystals are in our watches, they're in lighters, our cell phones, our computers, our smart TVs, right? Crystals are everywhere. They're in your pineal gland. So if crystals are a sin and God made them, I mean, come on, are we 2 years old, right? They're not a sin, okay? And people have got to understand that, because you can't say, oh, you can't meditate with a crystal. Well, then guess what? You can't use a cell phone or a computer or a television. Does that make sense? I mean, we got to just keep it real. So, Virgo risings, you got to remember the South Node is on your ascendant. Self-love, right? Spiritual. You've got to take care of your health at this time. But I would take advantage of the new beginning energy and the Pluto in your sixth house. Everything for the Virgo rising is speaking to detoxification, health, transforming your life through the herbs, through the crystals, through your meditation. And we all need to increase that. Libra risings, you got the Aries in the seventh house. It could be a new beginning in your relationships. You may find a new partner. This may be the time where you are doing new things in your work or daily routine. Get the water feature. You may need to start to really manifest in the bathtub, in the water. Talk to your water, right? We should all be doing this, not just Libra risings, but talk to your water, right? What is it, Dr. Hashimoto, right? When you talk to the water and plants, right? The crystals form better. Positive self-talk. The world is 3/4 water. You're 3/4 water. You talk bad about yourself or gossip about somebody else, the subconscious mind is listening and doesn't know, only thinks you're talking about you. That's why we have one mouth, 2 eyes, 2 ears. Watch your boca. I tell all my clients, what do I say, you guys? My greatest hope for you is to retire from negative self-talk. Think I'm going to make a t-shirt. It's so important. You got to love on yourselves. The way to escape this matrix first starts with the self-love and vibrating from your heart chakra. That's the key to everything, you guys. We are in a game. Maybe some of you guys never played video games, but trust me, the simulation, the Matrix, go watch Total Recall and the Matrix again. If you haven't seen them in decades like me, go watch them again. It will blow your mind. And you'll be like, whoa, this is like now and where we could be heading, especially Total Recall. If you remember that one. And all the Matrix. The second and third Matrix weren't so good, but, the first one is really, what you need to watch. Libra risings, though, one thing I would say, you're still dealing with the Uranus and Taurus in 8th house. So definitely anything about the esoteric and occult knowledge. But there could be a sudden promotion, sudden raise at work for you, sudden inheritance, or things for your spouse as well. But just know with the Aries Solar Eclipse, this could be starting a new business partnership, new relationship. Okay? But don't be an impulsive shopper. Don't be impulsive to sign new contracts and negotiations. And Venus in retrograde and Mercury is still retrograde. Do not get a new haircut. Do not start new contracts. If it was something that you were working on months or 2 months ago, of course, have at it. Do it, because it was already initiated. But please understand, even starting when we get to the next chart, Mercury and Venus retrograde, when they leave Aries and go to Pisces, then it starts a new language, a new energy. The Venus retrograde in Pisces, right? That is about don't be self-sacrificing and the victim in self-love. I mean, in relationships with others. Don't value or devote yourself to things that are not energetically right for you, right? Maybe stop watching all the horror films and murder mysteries, right before you go to bed. The Datelines, like my wife loves. Don't do that before you go to bed. And then the Mercury will join in as we get to the next chart. So Scorpio risings. I got 3 of us here. Well, the Pisces party's in our 5th house. I'm talking to myself especially. I got 3 young boys at home, 15 and 11. We got to get back to, we do it. I pray with them every night, but we got to get back to the sound bowls, the crystals, the meditation, understanding the frequency, you guys, alpha, beta, theta, delta, the gamma. My kids get upset. We're taking away the cell phones and iPads. Why? 15-year-old, why? Because your brain doesn't need it anymore. These are dopamine hits. The blue light is bad for your eyes, but it's bad for your pineal gland and for your brain, even for us adults, not just the children, but they're growing up with it. We had the fortune of everything forming. And by the way, you're not an adult until 29 as Saturn returns. If I was God or president, nobody would get married, go to war, or I hate to say it, maybe even voting until you're 29. Because what? The cerebral cortex is still forming in the medulla oblongata. No surprise here. Sorry, Dan. Women mature 2 to 3 years ahead of us. So for them, it's literally between 25 and 28. For men, it's more like 27, 28 to like 30, 31. That's when you're an officially adult, after the Saturn returns and the cerebral cortex and the medulla oblongata, that's a word twister, is completely formed. God makes no mistakes. Isn't that beautiful? So Scorpio risings, that Aries stuff is in our 6th house. Have we, with this Aries North Node, Libra South Node from 23 to 25, right? What did I do? Because I knew it was coming and I'm an astrologer. I was lifting weights 7 days a week. Lesser weights, but more repetitions. All of us, we're probably all pretty close, over 40, 45 years old, male, female, squatting 3 times a week. Best days to work out, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. But you want to take care of your legs. As we get older, what happens? Legs get weaker, we have a fall, hip surgery, you may not come out of that alive. Infections, that's how I lost my uncle. Uncle Bunny, you sure you want to have hip surgery? Oh, Eric, I still like walking. He was in his 80s. Infection, died in the hospital, never made it out. Please do squats, you guys. And especially for you ladies over 40, pre-menopause, post-menopause, no cold water. Warm to hot water. I do recommend hot lemon water in the morning. It cleans the gut, but it's good for your hormones, balancing the estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, right? You can watch that episode I had on with Heather Parisi. Other people have talked about it too on my show. And then I've got coming on in April, she's coming back from the summer, Ami Diaz. She was amazing, and she's a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner and acupuncturist. Brilliant woman. She's going to talk about that more too, okay? So Scorpio risings, the daily routine, new beginnings with your work, right? What do I need to initiate new things, right, for my BigEAstro business? Well, maybe you guys noticed, I just started, Dan knows, this week, Lunch with Eric, coming on quick, hard-hitting astrology topics, 12 to 15 minutes in and out, Monday through Friday on Instagram. Trying something new, 6th house. Right? So like I'm trying to work with the energy too, you guys. And there's things I can learn and adjust and change, not just in my personal life, but in my business. So Scorpio risings, there's things that you've got to, maybe this is time for a new pet. Okay. The one thing with the Pluto in the 4th, Scorpio rising is the emotional mind. Pluto's there for 20 years. We've got to do some shadow work. We got to heal different things about our childhood and wounding, with the mother. Shadow work, meditation, forgiveness, all that stuff, okay? And Taurus 7th house is just the marketplace, relationships. Uranus has been there. It's going to be leaving, but it's been a fun ride. Sagittarius rising. Now listen, you're dealing with this Aries party in the 5th house, the solar eclipse. This is about your creativity. Start the speculative game, the new business. Turn the hobby into business. I'm not saying do anything rash and just quit your 9 to 5, you guys. But if you have your nights and your weekends free to build up the creativity and the hobbies and the speculative gains and a new business, and your heart and passion are in it, fifth house, heart chakra, put your back into it, it's the back. Aries, initiating, the leader, become the leader. Get the escape plan from the matrix, Sag risings. Start the new business. The Pisces party in the fourth house of home. The water feature, your Sag risings, I talk about it a lot with Pisces fourth house, increase the water, sound bowls, but the water feature, Home Depot, Better Homes and Gardens, things like that. I don't know what they have, in other countries, but you can get water features that are not that expensive where you just can see and hear the water flowing. Sometimes they have music or lights with it, the fancy ones, but that will help you whenever you have a water sign in the fourth house, you guys. Getting a water feature can calm the emotional mind and increase your spiritual gifts as well, especially Pisces with all these planets there now. And for the Aries risings with Cancer, Mars there. Mars in Cancer, you guys, it is that energy of giving the mother a machete or a machine gun in the kitchen. We know my old little analogy, she just needs a good sharp knife, right? She don't need a machete or machine gun in the kitchen, mom, right? But it means we need to protect our homes and our families. Safety, security. Maybe it's time to, get a new alarm system, whatever. But maybe this is where Aries, and we're talking for the Sag risings, Cancer in 8th house, maybe that's where you are, making sure, number one, you're good with your taxes, but maybe you're making sure your wills, your will and testament, a family trust, those things are going down, okay? Mars, anytime, you guys, you see Mars and Saturn in the birth chart in the in 8th house, do not play with the IRS. Yes, what they do is illegal, but if you don't have the lawyers and know how to do all the paperwork, you can't fight that. And by the way, watch the podcast, Yesenia Rose, talking about sovereignty and legalese, coming on, it'll be released March 25th. It's going to be great, and it's on my dad's birthday, so that's great. But so that's for the Sag risings, but that's for everybody, But I just want you to really get for Sag risings, there's new beginnings, even initiating new things with your children and your creativity, and maybe starting that business. Okay, we're going to get to Neptune and Aries soon. Last but not least, Capricorn rising. Pluto, second house, how you earn money, your speech, it's going to change the next 20 years. The third house, the Pisces party, your communications with the younger siblings, social media, more spiritual, more compassionate and empathetic. Don't clap back at these stupid people putting ignorant comments on your stuff. If you're involved in social media, ignore them. Show the compassion and empathy, but have the healthy boundaries and take a social media diet. Your communications and stuff, you're going to feel like very woo in the local community. Be careful when you're driving. Capricorn risings, be careful driving in the local community. And the fourth house, new beginnings in your home. Initiating new spiritual practices, initiating a construction, initiating a move, right? This new beginning, Sun, Moon, and Mercury, Cap risings, you may do a move by October, quite literally. The Mars in the 7th house, watch the arguments, emotional arguments in the other half, business partnerships and marriage. And the Jupiter, just think about what you're sharing to humanity, your service, your coworkers, right? Your wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies, Jupiter, Gemini. Don't get into the workplace gossip, okay? And we're back to the Aquarius risings. So any questions before we go to Neptune and Aries? The one thing I want to just say that I didn't touch on so much, those are the only major aspects, but the Juno's in Sag right now. So this is energetically for the collective, wherever it is. Juno is the asteroid, Jupiter's wife, long-term relationships, commitment, and marriage. But Juno, especially for Sag rising and Virgo rising, it's also like making that commitment to self for self-love in the I am energy and in the emotional mind. But it's also kind of like Sagittarius, right? That's like, remember, always Sag and Aquarius are about taking flight. Sagittarius is what? Every culture, every religion, foreign lands. It can be very dogmatic, but the Juno is saying, hey, have a little respect for the Buddhist, the Muslim, the atheist, the Catholic, the Christian, the Jewish doesn't matter what we believe. We have to kind of get out of these constructs of the Piscean age and understand that at the end of the day, we're kind of all praying to the same creator, same source, same God energy. It's just wrapped up in different packages. Religion is to divide us and separate us. Read some ancient tablets. Find out about the Anunnaki. Find out about who gave us religion and all these things. The true answers, you guys, are through our increased meditation, spiritual discipline, and going within. And and I'm not saying this lightly. Listen, when I was in coma and almost died, I called on Jesus, and I'm here. So there's power. I just call him by Yeshua now. So I'm not saying that there's not power when we have deep water faith. That's my mantra. And you have to know your will, your energy, your intention is everything. Think about the words that come in the thoughts in your head when they are not for you or going to serve you for your greatest good or the person you're communicating with. Cut them off in the head. Don't let them go down the escalator and get dispensed out of your mouth to spit out negativity and vitriol. It will never serve you. Even in the response backs, even in the clap backs, it will not serve you. It's actually depleting your energy. And you are a co-creator with your intention, energy, and your words every single moment of the day. We have a choice to what we say. Does that make sense? Any questions before we go to Neptune and Aries?
Eric?
Yes, go ahead. How you doing?
My question is not sure if it could be answered today, maybe another time.
Okay.
Where, for example, like I was born in the 12th house, so that was ruled by Pisces. But if you're a Pisces sun, Pisces rising, I have midheaven Pisces. Do any of these have more weight in Pisces than others? Does that make sense? What I'm asking
in your natal chart or the transits?
No,
natal. The natal chart.
Does that make sense?
More weight. What is in your Pisces? Midheaven and what else?
So I'm born in the 12th with Venus and Gemini.
Okay, wait, you're confusing me. So hold on. What is your 12th house? The sign is Gemini there?
Yeah.
And there you have Venus and your sun?
Yes.
Okay, so that's Gemini. Right there, Jupiter's there. So that's speaking to your bedroom and subconscious mind. So that's actually a beneficial energy for you to set up the dream book and to astro travel and to get into gaining knowledge from your spirit team and your ancestors and the archangels. Okay, if you have the Gemini in the 12th house, right, we know the Pisces square is in your 3rd house in the local community with your communications and social media. So you're asking about the Pisces energy or just the 12th house energy in general?
Well, I also have midheaven. My midheaven is in Pisces. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. The Pisces would be in the 9th house. Sorry, from the 12th.
Yeah. So that carries a different weight, or no?
It's not a different weight, but I mean, one thing I would say is that it's letting you know that this may be the time where you become the teacher, the mentor, and you write a book. You have lived a life and you've got wisdom, so you got to stop playing it small and spiritually share your experience to others. How are you giving back? How are you mentoring? And so the midheaven is how you vibrate. People see you for work as a Pisces. Does that make sense?
No, I'm actually writing my memoirs.
There you go. I love it.
And I'm also a teacher and I'm also a mentor. So I think I'm following the right path.
Strange. Okay. You're doing a great job. And that's exactly how to work with that. Pisces midheaven 9th house. But healthy boundaries. Saturn's there. Remember, Pisces has no boundaries. Saturn's there to tell us as a collective spiritual discipline. Any haters or no sayers, I don't care if it's mom, dad, sister, husband, children. You got to be like, excuse me, I don't have time to hear that.
So you're saying Pisces has no boundaries?
Yeah, Pisces has no boundaries. It's nebulous. It's like the oceans. It's like there's no form in Pisces. It's free flowing. Saturn is the container, the form. We live in a Saturnian matrix bubble. So when Saturn is in Pisces for the last 2.5 years, and it's about to leave in May and then permanently leave the end of January 2026, it's letting us know healthy boundaries, increase your spiritual discipline, right? But also work on your self-love, compassion, empathy, grace, and mercy for you first. Then dad, grandchildren, ninth house is why I'm saying grandchildren, all that stuff, right? Your students, everybody. But Pisces doesn't know about boundaries. Saturn is there to teach us as a collective. We have, and I just want to say this for you guys, and this is for everybody watching too. Do you see the theater and the play and the story? As we're going from the Piscean age to the age of Aquarius, and we're going into these new major shifts, Neptune and Saturn and Aries, Uranus and Gemini, then Jupiter and Cancer, but these outer planets, Pluto, Aquarius, while this is happening, Saturn is in Pisces to help us increase our spiritual discipline, but to let us know it does not serve you to not have boundaries in your life. To survive this 3D realm, you must have discipline, structure, and organization. Hence, discipline is love. And that's self-control, self-discipline. One of my favorite MC rappers, Rakim, he said in a rhyme back in the 90s, late 80s, it was beautiful. And I forgot which one it was. It wasn't Casualties of War, Dan, but I forgot what song it is. But Rakim said, "My only challenge is not to react in violence," right? Do you know where they put, and I say men, but this can be women too. You know where they put men that have no discipline and self-control? They put them in jails and prisons. Because if you cannot regulate and control your emotions, and you lose your stuff, and you break laws and fight and this and that and whatever, or you go scratch up and burn and blow up Teslas, they put you in jail. As a man, as a woman, as a human being, you have got to have EQ and emotional and spiritual discipline. Because if you do not have the Saturn, they will remove you from society. Does that make sense? Okay? So, but that's why Saturn is in Pisces at this time. We're leaving the illusion, confusion. Do you guys know, so Gloria, but America's chart's a Sag rising. I don't know the chart of Australia or Sweden, but America's chart is a Sag rising. We've had this Pisces party in our fourth house of the home, the tell-I vision, the emotional mind. Neptune has been there since 2011. If you're being honest, since Twitter, 2010, 2011, the deception, and I hate the fact that he made this term because I've been thinking that, fake news forever, right? But the reality is, if they're talking, they're lying. That fourth house of your home, your emotional mind, where we have our tell-our visions in our home, we have the deception has increased since 2011. When Neptune leaves there and goes to Aries, we are going to have more revelation that Hollywood, the government, politics, medical, Pluto Aquarius, right? Medical, science, NASA, all these things have been lying to us. There's very few that we've been taught and raised, and I mean everyone on here, everyone watching, that we have been taught and raised and programmed is real and true. Probably 95% of it is lies. And that is earth-shattering for the majority of human beings. And one of the things that I've written about in my relationship book, that will be my third book released eventually, Elevate to Love, is that the hardest thing for human beings to do is to admit to being wrong and to say sorry, to apologize to another human, right? Think about the EQ and the spiritual maturity it takes to say, hey, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Or I've been living life wrong. Let me make adjustments and changes. And to admit that privately, introspection in your mind, but outwardly to the collective and public, right? Those are the things and the challenges that we have to face. And this Aries solar eclipse is the energy to propel us and support us. And then when Neptune comes in on tomorrow, the 30th, right? And I mean tomorrow because we're looking at the chart of the 29th. That's what the veils of the Pisces will dissipate. And then in Aries, your I am energy, your head. Now you could say Neptune and Aries may make people a little psychologically crazy. Neptune and Aries may also make you realize, oh my goodness, the I am is what is important. I've been spiritually duped and deceived my whole life. The Pope, the Vatican, this and that, the Black Madonna, all this stuff, right? I've been lied to my whole life.
Yep.
You know how heavy that is? You
Hmm.
know how few human beings can say and admit to that and then like say, okay, well, that means I've got to what? I've got to, and this is what I talk about in my Astro Life Transformational Program, right? You got to take off the old clothes, master and learn your chart, and put on the new clothes. Because when you guys become a Jedi, and it's not just for George Lucifer, that's a real thing from ancient times, right? Back to Lemuria and Atlantis, the Jed, Djedi, when you become the master of your own chart and you work with these energies, let's just say if this was your chart and you work with Mars in Cancer, you work with Jupiter, Gemini, Uranus, and you know, and Aries, and all these Pisces placements. If you learn how to work with this, life slows down. You are tapping into who your soul selected to be in this life, and then you live a more authentic life. And you're like, you see everything coming. Nothing surprises me. I know the charts of every family member. I know some of your charts, some of my friends, and I see stuff coming in transit, and I'm like, oh my God, right? Like, and so that I know, like when Mars was in Gemini for like 8 months, about a year and a half ago now, to almost 2 years ago. Remember that long transit, Mars in Gemini? Well, Scorpio risings, that was my eighth house. What's the eighth house? Your in-laws. So my mother-in-law was living with me. What did I say to myself? No matter what, you're not going to get into an argument with your mother-in-law. It's not nice, number one. I'm very respectful. But two, the energy saying, yeah, you could do that. So I knew it. So what did I do? I shut my mouth up. Did she say some things to provoke me and make me want to say something? Surely did. Did I? Nope. That's the power of learning this ancient wisdom. This is why J.P. Morgan in the early 1900s or late 1800s said, astrology is the language of billionaires, only millionaires don't use it. Bragging. This is why all the presidents have astrologers. Only Reagan was the one to admit to it. Do you know what I'm saying? Astrology, numerology, gematria, this is what they use to run the world, and they don't want us to know it. It's time for us to awaken and know this ancient wisdom and knowledge. It's for us. It's ours. It's not theirs. Okay? So, great questions. Now,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
go ahead. Anything else?
Can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Okay.
So, Ian,
Yep, it's good. These are
it's
yummy
exciting.
times.
I love it.
We
I love it.
These
Love
are
it. Love it.
amazing times, you guys.
Mhm.
And just know,
Mhm.
I don't say any of this stuff lightly. This energy is intense. What you said, Janice, it's hard out here in these streets. You're daggone right it is. But guess what? We are so built for it. And
Yes.
that means we have to really trust our emotional mind, whatever your moon is in. Trust your Mercury, whatever sign it's in. Relate and value yourself, devote relationships, entertainment with your Venus. Initiate or assert properly with your Mars. Manifest and learn and teach and gain wisdom and knowledge with your Jupiter. Have the discipline, organization, and structures with your Saturn, right? Be innovative, weird, and bizarre with your Uranus, right? Be spiritual, creative, and imaginative with your Neptune, compassionate and empathetic. Pluto, heal your pain, trauma, crises from past lives and childhood, and be magnetic and be powerful. Don't let others control and manipulate you with your Pluto, right? Tap into your intuition with your Lilith. Heal your childhood Chiron wound, those childhood wounds. We all have them. Look at the sign, the house, and the degree. None of us get away from a clean childhood. This is the assignment your soul has chosen. Just imagine and envision yourself in the motherboard in heaven with God, Creator, on the big screen, and you're sitting there, you're picking, okay, in this life, I got to have a tough dad. My parents got to get divorced. Oh, yeah, I got to get sexually abused. I got to have a cousin that touches me too. I'm going to struggle. I may get homeless at 23, but by 47, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to have a great marriage, kids, and extreme wealth. Boom. You hit enter, you come through the portal of your mother's womb, the first house, your birth chart, and then that's what you selected. Then you got to go live it. And that's the challenging part. But when you learn this, then you start to remember and you realize, this is what I chose to evolve and grow my soul. So when I learn it and work with it, that's how you become the Jedi. That's how you become the master of your own energy, and you tap into your soul. And honestly, you guys, I don't say this lightly. I really think these are the keys to escape the matrix and not get caught up in the reincarnation loop. I truly, authentically believe that.